Welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I'm your worship associate, Jim O'Neill, and it's a joy to be with you today. An added joy to have our choir back. Welcome, yay. Community Church, for those of you who need an introduction, is a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is also a faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth of and dignity of every being. Please look to your weekly email for announcements, and we have 3 announcements this morning. The first from Michelle.
Good morning. For those of you who were here on Friday evening, you saw that we have our new big screen TV installed in the fellowship hall, thanks to a very generous donor who is a member of the Sierra Club that meets here once a month. And so now the Social Justice Ministry is excited to announce that we're going to have a monthly second Sunday social justice film viewing every second Sunday right after church in the fellowship hall. We'll be showing a social justice documentary, and we'll start with September 14th. In 2 weeks, we'll be showing the film 13th by Ava DuVernay. If you're familiar with her, she's amazing. And it's the story of how the prison industrial complex and mass incarceration grew out of the end of slavery. It's very eye-opening. And we'll have a little lunch, and we'll just ask for donations, small, minimal donation for a very simple lunch. And so I look forward to seeing you all there in 2 weeks.
And now Deborah Salvador.
Good morning. Morning. You all have in your order of service today a little flyer, and I'm just here to remind you about the event on the convocation on September the 18th with organized by Together New Orleans, where we will meet with many other organizations across the city to meet with the candidates for mayor and city council and discuss what we would like to see going forth in our city from those who get elected. All you have to do for that night, there are a couple of things. One thing is come to the convocation, and we are going to be asking you to contact Kathy Larimer, has volunteered graciously to kind of make sure who is going to come, and then to organize some carpooling to make it easier for people to go. So if you're hesitant about going because you don't want to drive by yourself, we'll have some carpooling set up here to meet here at our church to go over there. And it's on Thursday night, September 18th. The other thing that you might want to do, there's a little QR code where you can register with TNO so they can get an idea of how many people are going. But we also need to know internally so that we can do things like organize those carpools. So please contact Kathy if you are going, and I highly encourage you to go. It's going to be a really exciting event. The assembly on July 13th was really, really heartening to see so many people from across the city, from across all different faiths and backgrounds, whatever, being together, coming together with something that we want to see our city be a better place. And so I highly encourage you to go. It's just a good experience in and of itself, in addition to supporting this very important work. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Now we'll hear from Sean Lott.
Hi, everybody. Quick announcement. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Lote, and I lead the fundraising efforts here. Next Sunday is one of our big annual events. That's the kickoff for our annual pledge drive. So we will have a special music program that day that I'm very much looking forward to. And afterwards, a catered / potluck lunch. Everybody is welcome to attend. New members, old members, friends, visitors, people coming for the first time, everybody can come. There's no cost. And again, that's 1 week from today. The lunch is right after worship. Thank you. Yes, Marilyn. Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, this is important. The most important thing I forgot. We are asking for volunteers to sign up to bring potluck dishes. There is a sign-up board in the fellowship hall right when you walk in. In particular, we still need some folks to volunteer to bring side dishes and desserts. Did I get it all, Marilyn? Okay, thank you.
Wow, we have a lot of exciting things coming up very soon to look forward to. We also look forward to hearing from Reverend Jacqueline Luck today, who is in our pulpit. We all know her as a member of Community Church for 9+ years. She is a retired Unitarian Universalist minister who has served in other parts of the country. And so we're privileged to have her among us, and she will provide us with the opening words.
I was just sitting there thinking, not so many years ago, it doesn't seem I'd be out on the lake water skiing, but and maybe some are. But I'm very glad that you're here and that we can celebrate CCUU's Labor Day service, Labor Day Sunday service. So I want to start with words of George Gompers, the president of the American Federation of Labor, and he said these words in 1893. I want more schoolhouses and less jails, more books and less arsenals, more learning and less vice, more constant work and less crime, more leisure and less greed, more justice and less revenge. In fact, more of the opportunities to cultivate our better natures, to make manhood more noble, womanhood more beautiful, and childhood more happy and bright. These, in brief, are the primary demands made by trade unions in 1893 in the name of labor. We're still begging. These are the demands made by labor upon modern society, and in their consideration is involved the fate of the civilization. Thank you.
It is our ritual to light a chalice, invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing the words of the chalice lighting. We light this flame. They are printed in your order of service. Light this flame to affirm the light of truth, and knowledge the warmth of love and community, and the power of hope and commitment. Reverend Jacqueline will provide our time for all ages.
It's a very simplistic time for all ages, but I'm doing it to remind us all that the church is the people. The church is not the building. The church is not the minister. The church is the people. You might remember what I'm headed to. And so if you're at home and you're a kiddo, or if you're an adult with kids or grandma, you can teach this again in case you've forgotten. But remember this. This is the church. This is the steeple. Open the doors and show all the people. Let's do it one more time and y'all say it with me. This is the church. This is the steeple. Open the doors and show all the people. Let's sing our children and the children of the world out.
You may go. Please join me now in the responsive reading, number 567 in your gray hymnal. Number 567. To be of use. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest, work in a row and pass the bags in, who stand in the line and haul in their places, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well has a shape that satisfies, clean in evidence. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, hoppy vases that held corn, are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work to reap.
So I have words of George Bernard Shaw. It is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. George Bernard Shaw.
Now is our sacred time of joys and sorrows. If you're online, you may write your joys and sorrows in the comments section to be read aloud. In person, you may write them on one of the cards being passed out by our greeters. You can remain seated as we sing hymn number 1 in your hymnal. by faith made strong, our rafters will. We stand the battering of the storm. Will keep you warm. We shall walk softly through these rooms, walking on earth with Holy One. Your hands into our shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though each sheltering walls are thin, it is but home to keep it up and hold love in. From Linda, so sorry for the shooting in Minneapolis. A great joy from Michelle. My beloved Aunt V is home after hospitalization and doing very well. From Elise, Esther was back in the hospital briefly this week. She is home and doing well and would love visitors. She's a very gracious host as well. From Scott, a joy, finally back on an onward and upward path once again in a new job. Won't be much longer before I am whole again. From Liz Trotter, sad to report that after her fall and bout with pneumonia, Carol Lipp is now in hospice. Do send cards with love and support. See Liz for the address. This will also be in Community Matters. And more prayers for Carol Lipp, who's in the hospital. Her nephew lives with her now, Julio, and so he will answer the door if you go visit.
Didn't get a chance to write one. Just another sorrow. I don't think there are too many people here who remember Dale Little as a longtime member of the church, but he passed away earlier this month.
We'll now observe a few moments of silence as we light 2 more candles. One for the joys still bubbling up, too new to share, and one for the sorrows that we cannot yet put into words. Know that we hold you in our hearts.
Since the Mayflower Compact, signed in 1620, our churches and government have been inspired by the phrase, "for the general good of the colony." The Puritan and Pilgrim churches gathered in allegiance around covenants and have been inspired always to care for the general good of the community, as are Unitarian churches today, Unitarian Universalist churches. And we have the words of covenants. A wonderful minister, historian, Alice Blair Wesley, who spent a lot of time studying the Pilgrims before she passed away, wrote a covenant that would have been very standard among the Pilgrim churches to pass on to the rest of us. And I want you to hear how much we have in common still with the Pilgrim churches. We pledge to walk together in the ways of truth and affection as best we understand them now or may learn them in days to come, that we and our children might be fulfilled, and that we might speak to the world in words and actions of peace and goodwill. So I used the president of American Federation of Labor quote so long ago. It seems that we go 3 steps ahead and 4 back. But my point is this morning that I never realized how much my personal religious tradition, values, and beliefs and passion reflected in the covenants that were in alignment with the Pilgrims and with the U.S. labor unions in 1893, and 50 years later, in 1975, when the president of the Machinists Union, in protest to making weapons for war, stated, "Our life is more than our work. Our work is more than our jobs." We often sing on a Labor Day the protest song, "Bread and Roses," expressing these same sentiments. Life is more than our work. Humanity must have some beauty, time for nurturing children and babies, time for a cup of coffee or tea or a beer with friends, for laughter and music, for more quality leisure and less greed, better public education, fewer jails, more justice, less revenge, and as Gompers said, more opportunities to cultivate our better natures. A theme that runs through them all is the seeking of transformation of society and more opportunities to cultivate our better selves. We still so desperately are crying for these. Similar to the Union quotes, Reverend John Burens, a past president of Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregation, writes in the back of our hymnal, the gray one, "Blessed are you who know that the work of the church is transformation of society, who have a vision of beloved community, transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change. Blessed are you indeed." I don't know if you've heard the story of John Haynes Holmes and his community church in New York, but it's a good illustration of what we're speaking of. John Haynes Holmes was a social activist and a staunch pacifist Unitarian minister of the church at that time that was called the Church of the Messiah, but it was a Unitarian church. Remember, for Unitarian was the belief in one God, and in particular, a lot of our early Unitarians believed in Jesus rather than the God above. So the Church of the Messiah is a good illustration of this transformation I'm talking about, with a vision of beloved community and transcending their present woes, and they did have them, and not shrinking from controversy, sacrifice, and change. And we might find it particularly interesting because in 1918, Reverend John Haynes Holmes offered to resign his pulpit because of the conflict caused by his refusal to support World War I or any war efforts. However, his congregation, which mostly did not agree with his pacifist views, begged him to stay. I understand the American Unitarian Association at the time, before the merger, asked all Unitarian ministers to say the Pledge of Allegiance before the service as a thing to support the war. And he refused. He said, no, I will not do this. And so for a while, he had to withdraw from his ministers' association. And so the congregation, even though they didn't believe it, didn't feel like he did, didn't make that same stance, they were ready to try to save the world and do what they could. They agreed to pull together, and they begged him to stay. They begged him to stay because they respected his integrity. They knew that his heart was really in what he was saying. They didn't doubt that this was his most heartfelt stance. So the New York congregation in 1918 renamed itself Community Church, honoring their focus on beloved community, 1918, and supporting their minister as they could. It makes the name of this community church, to me, more wonderful, realizing it came from the early tradition of seeking beloved community in UU congregations, a world free of war, and the love between a very controversial but highly respected minister and his congregation. Some of you may ask, especially if you're some of the newer ones, does this Community Church of New Orleans have a vision statement, a sense of purpose, a covenant of right relation? Yes, indeed, of course, and you can look at your handout. Please don't throw these away. Charlotte and I worked hard on gathering all this together for you. It's a little summation of the things that this church has posted and voted on that it stands for. I will tell you ahead of time, especially Liz, that I edited the covenant of right relation, one, to make it fit, and two, there was just some things I just had to put in there. But we'll discuss that later and vote on it, make it the official thing. But I wanted to go through it real quickly with you, just because it needs to be said out loud periodically. Our vision and mission statement. Why does Community Church exist? You want to read with me? Would that be fun? We have a vision of a growing church which educate our children and our adults and will become known in the wider community through our service and outreach. We will honor and cherish our Unitarian Universalist heritage and traditions. We must envision our becoming more than we have ever been before. We must keep dreaming of what we can be and what we want to be for our children of the 21st century. Now, I've got to tell you, I do not remember the focus on education in there. I know I must have read it before, but that's something we need to work on. We need to work on getting more children back into our congregation so that Cynthia can plan regular classes for the children. So any of you that have neighbors, grandchildren, whatever, if we can, let's see if we can't try to get some regularity in attendance. And I do know that we have some people kind of hanging back, if you're out there, because you think we don't have anything. We do have something planned, a person planned to do our religious education class any Sunday that you bring your child with you, or even your older elementary kid. So please bring them. Please bring them, and let's get this ball rolling in the fall of 2025. It's the vitality we need. And then the purpose. The purpose of this church is to form a community, to practice and advance a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and a commitment to ethical living. Now that one's very familiar. It might be familiar to you too. Now we have our principles down below that. And the principles, if you don't know, are the first printed page in your hymnal. When you open the hymnal up, it's right across from hymn 1, the song we just sang. But I wanted to put them on here, so when you stick them on your refrigerator, you have them all together. And I'm just going to point out some of these. I'm not going to read them all. I wanted to mention in particular the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregation and in society at large. Is that pertinent today, or is that pertinent today? I want to tell you the right of conscience. Some people think, well, they have all kinds of things that they think what that means. But in particular, what it meant when they wrote these principles is that it means that we are the arbitrators of our belief system. We come in here, we think, we study, we talk with others, and we determine what makes our lives more meaningful. And that is not something that is sealed in concrete. I mean, I have had so many different interpretations of what was really important to me throughout my life. And that's the important thing. We're lifetime learners. But we also practice democracy in our congregations. We vote. Every person that is a member that makes a contribution, a financial contribution to this congregation to demonstrate their commitment to us, can then vote on all the issues that we bring up, and we vote on the board, and the board then votes, and we send delegates to the General Assembly that meets every spring, and those delegates vote at the General Assembly for the business at General Assembly. So this is a democratic process that works its way through the system. Now we have our recently voted on by the representatives of the congregations of the General Assembly, their briefly stated shared values and beliefs. And if you want to see the longer version, you can go online, or you can look back there in our fellowship hall. I've posted them. And why there's a question mark there, I do not know. It's not supposed to be there. They're held, they're voted on, they're a deal now. And they're right here. These are our shared values. I hate to, it's so easy to remember this way though, isn't it? Sadly, they if you think jet pig, you can get them all. They are centered in love. See how love is the center? And then we'll do jet, justice, equality or equity, transformation. And then we go to pig, pluralism, inclusive, and yes, we've got it. Okay. So that's why this hangs back there in Fellowship Hall, just as a little reminder. I find it so easy. If I had to recite all of these covenants, these principles, even though I am a minister trained and true, I could not do it all. I could get a general sense of it. So that's that. Then now we have Community Church's Covenant of Right Relationship. I didn't even know where this was. I asked Liz about it. It's framed out in the hall, y'all. It's been there all this time. But anyway, let's look at it, because this is a covenant that when you become a member, you are assuming in good faith that you will do these things, or we are assuming in good faith. So let's see, the covenant. Respect and welcome one another as unique individuals. You know, some places we go, being unique sets you aside. We welcome unique individuals. Actively seek spiritual development and encourage others on their spiritual journeys. Contribute responsibly to discourse with courtesy and care. We don't agree in here, none of us do really, with what we believe. So we never want to say, oh, no, that's wrong, you know, what are you thinking? But we can talk about it. In our little group that we do on the New Testament now, we have a study group, and we have gotten really good at that, I think. And we just get going after, we've been arguing about things in a really exciting way. I left feeling high yesterday from just the fact that we're really working on these issues. And then we're going to listen attentively. Y'all have probably all been in enough groups that you know what that means, really paying attention and not sitting there making the grocery list in your mind while somebody talks. Look for common grounds, and maybe the most important 3 words in this thing: assume best intentions. If you assume the person you're talking to has best intentions, you can stay calm and ask, well, you know, I'm not sure I really understand what you're saying, or would you care to talk about that more? Or you might want to just say very calmly, well, you know, I just don't agree with that, but that's fine too. So assume best intentions. Support each other, which we do a great job of, in life's challenges and celebrations. As leaders, strive to serve our congregations. This is what I had to put in here. We're always trying to serve our congregation's mission and vision and serve its common good. That's coming up from the Pilgrims from 1600. Leaders will be as transparent in their work as possible and be willing to consider new ways of doing the work of church when warranted. Accept the responsibility for staying informed of major congregational events. You know, that's not a good excuse to say, oh, well, I just didn't know, and it's been in the Community Matters newsletter for weeks, and people have been announcing it. It's your job to do that. Stay at the table when upset. I hope you understand what that means. It means don't walk away. Don't just leave and never tell or air what you're feeling, or say, I need to, you can say this, I need to pull back a minute. I feel upset. I need to just kind of calm down and get back to it. But please don't walk off and leave the church and wondering why in the world you left and what's going on. Share with someone, another leader would be a good idea if you want to. Not the grapevine. A leader, someone that could help you with your problem. Recognize our contributions to the church are part of an interdependent web of support that is relied on by all. When we vote on the budget, we're relying on our contributions. And then the last one, which is so important. And if we fail to meet these aspirations, we will forgive each other and ourselves and recommit to this covenant. So that's why I want you to keep it with you. It's important. And a little blurb that I'm always sharing is that churches are imperfect. Individual members are imperfect. Yes, the UUA is imperfect. Even ministers are imperfect. And yet we all work toward the goal of creating beloved community through joyous labors of love, though we may do it imperfectly. Because of Unitarian Universalist radical commitment to the personal search for truth and meaning, we sometimes forget that it's much more than an individualistic religion, because at first, early on in the Unitarian things, and certainly during the humanist era, there was a lot of emphasis on the individual and what the individual believed. And now we're coming back around and certainly understanding, yeah, that's important, but the community is really important if we're going to make a difference in this world. And so it's not an individualist religion. It is more a path or a communal spiritual journey, or a communal exploration of faith. Our independent selves are charged to serve the interdependent web of being with the labors of love that we do. James Luther Adams of the 20th century writes, "I call that church free which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship that protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom. It aims to find unity and diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new." Now that's a quote from John 8, meaning that the Spirit blows as the wind where it wishes, and it revitalizes all things. Community Church Unitarian Universalist is born again every time we have a new member. Our community is constantly changing, forming, and reforming as people come and go, and trying to hold on to it and make it just like it used to be, just ain't gonna work. Not the same people anymore. It is a healthy congregation's way to be open. It flings its arms open to receive new ways, new members, new ministers. Bringing and nurturing members into beloved community does take many labors of love by persons with a variety of skills. Though you should never, never, I'm going to pick it up now, toil away, killing your spirit at church, doing something not suited to you. Please never do that. Churches are transformational. I mean to say, you may sing in the choir at 77 to 80 years old and have a blast. You might join it today and have a blast. As you can tell, we need more members, and there is no test to get in. Or you may develop preaching skills or leadership skills, or share your joie la vie with the membership ministry, talking with visitors. If you enjoy serving others by making coffee or bringing snacks, by all means, jump to it. Talk to the religious education director, Cynthia, if you'd like to help with children's classes. And if you've been wondering about inviting someone to CCUU, break a leg. We're in a growing spurt, and we are. Assure all, if they bring children, there will be provisions made for classes during this service. There are various opportunities for labors of love with justice making in Together New Orleans, working for the environment, helping people in the broader community and within the community, maybe as a part of the caring ministry. If you are interested in stewardship, leadership, serving as a worship associate, speak to me or the ones that you see that are serving with their labors of love in those roles. But speaking, no, I have a joke in here I'm going to skip. It's late, y'all. I'll use it another time. Reverend Dr. Marilyn Sewell from Homer, Louisiana, was reminded of the 7 deadly sins of orthodoxy at one point. I think she actually used to be a Catholic. Perhaps you know them: pride, envy, greed, laziness, gluttony, and lust. And so she decided it would be fun and appropriate to write the 7 deadly Unitarian Universalist sins. And these are her Universalist sins. And I want to tell you that she was she was born in Homer, Louisiana, very small up there. And maybe I'll tell the joke because it has to do with that. So there were 2 UU ministers driving down here from up north to go to the General Assembly in New Orleans. And they saw on the map this little town, and it was called M-A-N-Y. And so they started to discuss, well, how in the world do you think you say that? Is it Manny? Or, I don't even think they thought. Is Minnie? A name of a town? What in the world do you do? So they decided they'd pull off and get something to drink and see if they could find out. And so they did, and they placed their orders, and the waitress, like they say, anything else I can get you? And they said, yes, well, you could help us if you would please say very slowly how you pronounce the name of this town. How do you, I goofed it up already. How do you pronounce the name of where we are? And she leaned forward and she said very slowly and very loudly, Dairy Queen. Goofy, I know. Anyway, so my point was that I wanted to tell you that Marilyn Sewell grew the church in Portland, Oregon, into one of the largest UU churches in the United States. She is a woman that has many, many degrees, several doctorates. She's, being from Homer does not cap your abilities to move along in this world. And so I just wanted to say that so that you would have a little more faith when you hear these deadly sins of Unitarians, that she really does know what she's talking about. The first one is pride. Our loss of humility and our pride in ourselves separates us from others. Our way is superior, isn't it? That's a good one. Our fear of the holy. Our reason for being a church is our reason for being a church is not informational, but transformational. So says everything on this sheet. Transformational. Not one word about information. The tyranny of the individual. Have you noticed how in congregations occasionally you get an individual that becomes so empowered that they think it is all about them? I used to say, no, you can't play in our sandbox. It's all about them. It's what they like, what they don't like. And well-meaning congregations will often encourage this self-centeredness. Sometimes congregations need to learn, as Reverend Sewell says, to just say no for the sake of the common good of the congregation. Just say no. You can't play in our sandbox. We have jaded perception, sadly, as a result of the high comfort of middle-class living, which insulates many of us to the lives of desperation of others. There's a bit of classism involved too, isn't there? I feel that strongly at times. Intellectualism. She's certainly not saying you don't want to be too educated or having too much practical wisdom is a sin. What she's saying is talking about it rather than doing it. Don't just sit on your hands and talk about it. Actions. Unwillingness to generously support our values and our church with our money. The stories told by congregation members and Reverend Jim last Sunday were amazing when he was talking about recovery. People continuing to give through their wills that they filled out. And we've recently, or fairly recently, received benefits from this. A visitor coming and writing a check for thousands of dollars. I've forgotten the amount he said, $2,000, $3,000. I just went, a visitor. Getting messages from the back. It's just amazing. Sometimes, I don't know what it is. I know that, I used to be really thrilled if I'd get a Christian to come to our church that maybe's wondering and questioning their faith, because they were trained. They understood, that's what I should say, not trained, but they understood stewardship and supporting their congregation in all the ways that we do. All these labors of love are part of stewardship. It has nothing to do, it's not always money, is what I'm trying to say. It's our gifts, our labors of love. And so, what I wanted to say, sometimes we're awfully afraid of power, I think. Maybe it's kind of a hippie leftover thing. And I often wonder if we're afraid for our churches to become too powerful or to change too much. Why should we be small? I don't think we should. I go to little tiny congregations sometimes, little tiny Baptist congregations that have these beautiful sanctuaries and big buildings, and I'm thinking, what are we doing wrong? So one reason this is Reverend Sewell still, one reason our healthy UU congregations are holy is they are filled with believing folks, parishioners seeking to clarify and deepen their religious convictions. The truth is, UUs believe as heartedly and as profoundly, but our ways of believing don't scrunch neatly into classic dogmas, nor do we want them to. Unitarian Universalists valiantly labor to cultivate enduring sites of belovedness. Constantly, they are in need of pruning, ever unfinished. But we know this much to be true. Wherever healthy, vital churches thrive, our chosen religion is contributing its fair share toward the beloved community. And I have one more quick story, and we'll wind up. And it's a story that happened in Memphis when I was an intern. And there was a mainline Protestant minister who started attending our church. I guess he was taking a sabbatical. And I understood, since I was the intern, the minister shared with me that he was doubting his faith and feeling he didn't know if he could continue being a priest anymore. And so he came to our church for a while. And I wanted you to hear a little bit about what he wrote. He wrote a thank you note, which I have a copy of. What I didn't realize was how needy I was for a community that doesn't need to think alike to love alike. I realize that in part, your congregation is responsible for renewing my desire to serve God as a priest. Thank you for being the congregation you are. You are evangelists of love and truth. Through the small labors of our love that we share joyfully with members of the Unitarian Universalist Church community, and as evangelists of love and truth, we create beloved community. Through our labors of love, in resistance to what is hateful and destructive to the lives of so many. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We're now at the time of invitation to offering. Her message has made clear that the offering is ourselves in all the things that we do to promote the mission, the vision, and the covenant of our community. We also support it generously by giving generously to support the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online, by text, or in person this morning. See the information on the back of your order of service for online giving. And you can remain seated as we join in our offertory hymn, number 299, Make Channels for the Stream of Love, number 299 in your hymnal.
Josiah Royce, an American philosopher of the late 19th century, coined the phrase, beloved community. His words, since the purpose of religion is to aim toward the creation on earth of the beloved community, the future task of religion is to win over to unity and overcome hatefulness by gracious love, not of mere individuality, but communities. And I want to close with these last words of the first Universalist minister, Reverend Olympia Brown. Dear friends, stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important to you as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before you the loftiest of ideals, which has comforted you in sorrow, strengthened you for your noble duties, made the world beautiful for you. Every nation must learn that all people of the nations are children of God, and we must share the wealth of the world. This is the work which Universalists are appointed to do. We are not alone. There is an unseen power working for righteousness. The infinite is behind us. Amen.
Please join in our closing hymn. It's in your teal hymnal, number 1017, Building a New Way, number 1017. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. For every need we can see. Our every need. We can meet our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Jesus will love. Peace and freedom is our cry. Please join me in the chalice extinguishing. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. Please stay with us for our refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall.
Just 5 minutes over.
What's that?
I didn't do too bad, just 5 minutes over. That was good. I was worried about the time.
No, there was a very good message. Putting this out for us. Thank you. What's that?
Lost my check, I wrote it. My offering.
Oh.
Spell check strikes again.